I want to speak to you today for just a few minutes about the important subject of après-narc, which is a term I use for that period of time when we've been involved with a narcissist, but afterwards we start to reflect on exactly who we've been involved with and what has happened, importantly, in that relationship as far as we are concerned. And in some ways that's an important time to reflect, not in order to halt our healing, but actually to understand what has happened when we're involved with a narcissistic person who has potentially, and more often than not, affected our lives negatively in some way. So reflecting on that relationship is important because that is important information to take forward into the future when we meet new people and, importantly, when we want to engage in a new relationship. Because understanding narcissism from our own experience and from academic knowledge perhaps is important in this time. And so I thought après-narc was a good title for this video because it's an important time to understand after a relationship actually what is happening and what was going on, because then we gain important information about relationship dynamics with a narcissistic individual. And one of those dynamics that I want to highlight today is that there is often, not always, but there is often a sense that we have from this individual that they do not appreciate us. And that can happen very often because with very narcissistic people, the ego is very overinflated at times. Some people refer to this as delusional even, but it's important to understand where those dynamics come from, because this often lessens our pain and it also increases our knowledge as far as why things happen. And often when we have been in a painful situation, we want to know why, and we want to know why certain things happen at certain times and why it's happened to us. And more often than not, why things happen to us is not actually something to do with our value and our worth. It's more often the case with narcissistic individuals, it's because of their own pathology. And so appreciation is not something that many narcissistic people have for other people because they see themselves as being superior to other people. And so it can be very difficult for them to appreciate others, not because they're not able to, but because they choose not to, because they see themselves as having more value, and value to them really comes from them and not from other people in terms of their innate value. Their value to narcissistic people is in terms of what are they giving them at the time. So it's very much about usage, and that is where your value often comes from. If you're unable to give the narcissistic person this usage in terms of your value, in terms of what you're giving them, they often lose interest and go away, possibly, to find someone who will give them what they want. But for the time being, as long as you are in that relationship and performing your function in terms of serving the narcissistic person in their view, which is supporting their ego, then more often than not you are going to be wanted around. But as far as authentic appreciation, that is unlikely to happen with a truly narcissistic person, because when we appreciate something, it's because we recognize its value. So if you are someone who is very narcissistic and you don't perceive other people as being valuable unless they are contributing to you, then it's unlikely that you're able to make them feel appreciated from the heart. So that's one key, is to look out for that you may not feel appreciated in that relationship with a narcissist. And another thing to look out for is that once the narcissistic individual has found out that you're not serving their purpose and their ego and performing your function, this could be, as I mentioned, when they withdraw. But at that time, as far as you are concerned, this could also be the time when you are feeling as if the other person is withdrawing, and therefore it may mean that you chase that person because you start to feel fearful, which is understandable, that this person is leaving and they're no longer attracted to you, or they are no longer interested in you because they're withdrawing. And that can trigger a response in us so that we may chase the other person, which may, narcissistic or not, make them want to run even further in the opposite direction. But either way, their withdrawing may not have anything to do with you, other than the fact that you may have required something, and really, for very narcissistic people, they are really interested in what you have to give them. And if they perceive that as dropping off and they withdraw as a result, it may just trigger something within you, and it may make you want to chase that person to engage them again and to try and get them back, which often the case with these people doesn't work unless they see that your interest has been triggered by their withdrawal. In which case, if we chase at that time, it could reinforce their ability to use abandonment in order to manipulate us. And abandonment is often used by abusive individuals, especially if they see that it's one of your vulnerabilities. And abandonment is often used in abuse in order to draw the victim back in. So I just wanted to mention those few points to you today as far as reflecting on a narcissistic relationship and learning from that process in order to protect yourself in the future and to enhance your safe relationships in your lives, rather than going back into another relationship with another narcissistic individual. So as always, Stay safe and happy. Bye-bye.